Good day, this is Emily P. Gumbahan, and right now I will be discussing about the chapter 5, which is Language and Society, and its lesson 1, which is Language versus Dialect. So first, let's define what is language and society. When considering the language a person speaks, we often categorize it according to a particular country or region of the world. For instance, English is the most commonly spoken language in the United States. And another example is that here in Philippines, in our country, most of people speaks Filipino or Tagalog in modern version because it is the language here. And same for the other country. In South Korea, they speak Korean, and Japanese, they speak in Japan, they speak Japanese, and as well as the other country. Because hindi naman pwede na when you live here in Philippines or kahit anong bansa, hindi naman pwede na mag-speak ka ng ibang language except na lang if you're immigrant and first time mo lang doon, or you are just there for a vacation. Next is, however, as you travel throughout different areas of the country, you encounter a wide range of speech patterns, expression, and vocabulary that reflect the many dialects of English. So, society is a group of individuals involved in persistent social interaction. It is characterized by patterns of relationship between individuals who share distinctive culture and institution. So, when we saying society, it is where people live together, having interaction with other people, and having the same culture or tradition. That is the society. Since we're already done knowing the definition or the meaning of the language and society, let's know what is the relationship of the language and society. So I am flashing the framework, and as you can see, language is at the center, and around it is the people, place, and social system, as well as this area of social logistics. So I will explain this framework. So sociologists studies how language is used in society. So language changes depending on the people speaking, such as their age, their gender, and social classes. And it also changes based on the place, like the region and situation, as well as the social system affects language through power, rules, and politeness. And all these factors influence language, and language also influences society. So since we already know the meaning and relationship between language and society, let's move on to the language versus dialect. So what is language and dialect? Since we already gave the definition of the language earlier, let's dig more deeper. So language is a fundamental aspect of human behavior. On the other hand, dialect are regional varieties of a language tied to particular areas with a country. So why is it the language and as well as the dialect are fundamental? Because it allows people to communicate ideas, thoughts, and feelings, and it helps individuals connect with others and build relationships like inside the society. And language and dialect, they stem from the same language but include differences that can significantly affect how you communicate with others. Through language and dialect, speakers are connected in an active and reciprocal process. So, using the language and dialect, we gain understanding of others through both what they say and how they express it, right? and we come to understand ourselves through others' responses to our speech. And lastly, we develop insight into our relationships through the ongoing exchange that occurs in communicative interaction. So now, let's know more deeper about the language versus dialect. So language is the method of human communication, as I said earlier, either spoken or written, consisting of the use of words in a structured and conventional way. On the other hand, dialect is a particular form of a language which is peculiar, ah, pe- peculiar to a specific region or social group. So, in the language again, can be categorized into two main parts, spoken language and written language. And the dialect can be categorized into two main parts as well, standard dialects and non-standard dialects. So what is standard dialects? It is the form of a language that is widely accepted and used in informal settings such as school, government, and media. It follows established grammar and spelling rules and is often thought as the correct form of the language. And the non-standard dialect, it is a language variety used in everyday or informal situation and may differ in grammar, pronunciation, or vocabulary, and it is not wrong or inferior. It is simply reflects regional, social, or cultural identity of its speaker. And language of the same language family are often not mutually intelligible. Why is that? Because they have developed separately over a long period of time, causing major differences in vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. And in contrast, in the dialects of the same language are often mutually intelligible because they share the same core grammar and basic vocabulary, with differences only in accent or word choice. So languages become separate when changes are large and systematic, while dialects remain connected through frequent contact and shared standards. So next, there is also difference in scale between language and dialect. Language is the I mean, superordinate term because it includes the total set of all its variants. And a dialect refers to one or more varieties within a language. So each dialect must share at least one feature or a combination of features that distinguish it from other dialects of the same languages. So next is what influences the dialect. First is the geography. Where you live in a country or region can affect how you pronounce words as well as the words and the phrases you use. For example, for that is that the people from the southern and northern part of the northern and the southern part of the Philippines, they may speak the same language but with different accent and words. Second is the socioeconomic groups. People from the same city or area can speak different dialects based on their environment. Example, the professionals. The professionals may use more formal English or any kind of formal language, while street vendors may use more casual or slang expression. Third is the patterns of migration. Some dialects are the results of the migration of people from one country to another and the influence of their native language on how they adopt and speak the language of their new country or region. Example, when the migrants moving to cities often blend their hometown dialect with the city's dialect, creating new ways of speaking. So, remember that language both shapes society and is shaped by it, reflecting social values, power structures, and cultural identity. The way people speak can signal belonging, status, and relationship within a community. And a language is a broader communication system often standardized of official use, while dialects are natural variations shaped by region, culture, or social group. Dialects are not lesser form of a language, but equally systematic and meaningful ways of speaking. So ultimately, no dialect is inferior. Each reflects the identity, history, and culture of its speakers. Recognizing this helps us value linguistic diversity and communicate with greater respect and understanding. That's all, and thank you.